Problem number 1, integrating all the new players. Contrary to what Jamie Carragher said on Sky,
Chelsea have just got to stop buying players. And players have got to stop signing for Chelsea.
Players still do want to join a club like Chelsea. The issue that Maresca has to deal with now is how does he integrate all of these players in and where does he play them? Just in the right wing spot, he's got 2 brand new teenagers, Kendry Pais and Estevao. Now luckily for Maresca, it's already been reported that Pais is going on loan to Strasbourg. So that's one player that Maresca won't have to worry about fitting into his team for at least a year. However, there are still several right wingers that are looking for playing time. Pedro Neto, Noni Madueke, and Estevao now. So who plays? Pedro Neto made a case at the Club World Cup that he should be the starting guy. We finally saw the version of him that people saw at Wolves. A winger who isn't just fast and great at dribbling, but can also get you goals. And it was good to see because throughout the 2025 season, there wasn't enough output from him. And yes guys, I know the game isn't all about goals and assists. Trust me, there's no one that preaches that more than me on this channel. But 6 goals in 45 games is unacceptable for any Chelsea winger, let alone a guy who cost £51.3 million. He had that wonderful moment against Arsenal and the winner against Fulham, but that was it. He is clearly able to reach much higher levels, and we saw that in his dominance at the Club World Cup. 3 games in a row where he picked up a goal. And now he has to play well because there's another right winger behind him who's hungry to prove himself. And that's Estevao. Chelsea fans got a glimpse into what he can do for them at the Club World Cup, where he banged in a goal with his right foot. This kid has been one of the most hyped prospects out of Brazil since Neymar. When you watch him play, you understand why. He's so silky, easily able to beat his man and create chances. Trust me, doing what he's doing against those defenders in Brazil is impressive because those guys are trying to kill you. Maresca's job will be to find out how to integrate him the best, because this is a young kid joining a brand new league, country, and system. He doesn't speak a lick of English, as seen by his interaction with Cole Palmer at the end of the Club World Cup game.
Cole, I have to ask you about Estevao. What exactly did you say to him at the end?
I just said we look forward to seeing you, but he didn't understand a word I said.
So I don't know if you can just throw him into the starting 11 like that, but the quality is there, and his ceiling is higher than every other winger on the team, and potentially every other attacker. You would think that Pedro Neto starts, and Estevao rotates with him. But now, what happens to Noni Madueke? I think Madueke was wondering the same thing, hence the reports that he wants to go to Arsenal. You see, Madueke is an excellent dribbler. He's able to change speed and direction quickly. He can be lethal in 1v1 situations. The problem is, he is very inconsistent. One of the most inconsistent players I've ever seen. At times, he looks like Messi. Other times he looks like English Garnacho. Because the issue with him is even on the days where his dribbling is on point and he's looking good, his decision making in the attacking third can be horrible. He shoots when he should have passed, he passed when he should have crossed. You could see his inconsistency against Palmeiras. He came on as a sub and changed the energy of the entire match. His speed and desire to run at defenders was great, but his dribbling didn't really amount to anything. Every move from him looked nice until he got to the attacking third. So Maresca and Chelsea now have to decide what they want to do with this guy, because with Pais eventually returning to the first team, minutes will be even harder to get. Now Maresca still believes in the 23-year-old.
I don't have any doubt that if we need Noni, he's going to help us.
But for me, as soon as I found out he was chilling with Ruby Rose, I would have gotten rid of him. Then on the left wing, Maresca has to integrate his new signing, Jamie Giddens. Giddens is an explosive player who is lethal in 1v1 situations. Only 2 players in world football attempted more take-ons than him, and that was Doku and Yamal. Now, not only does he dribble a lot, but he does it at an efficient rate. He dominated the left-hand side for Dortmund in the Bundesliga, pretty much being their biggest chance creator. And not only was he great at beating his man, but he had a rocket of a shot to complement the dribbling. Giddens overperformed his expected goals in the Bundesliga, meaning that he was scoring from chances and angles that should probably not have been goals. For Maresca, he will have to find a way to keep Giddens' creativity and directness while also making sure that he doesn't forget about his defensive responsibilities. With Sterling finished and Mudryk taking steroids, the left wing is all his. Did he only look good because the Bundesliga was so open, or is he truly an elite winger that can punish any team? Only time will tell, but Maresca will have to find a way to integrate him fast and get him to the elite level that many people think he can reach. Now the winger positions aren't the only spots where there's a lot of competition. And that brings us to problem number 2, the striker dilemma.
Joao, Liam, Nico, the one that we have in this moment, they know exactly about, number 9, Chelsea.
Chelsea now have 3 different strikers, all with different playstyles. Maresca will now have to figure out which game requires which striker. The club already had Jackson, who provided a lot of value. People who don't watch Chelsea will try and clown him for his misses. but those who watch the Blues week in, week out will know just how valuable the Senegalese striker is. Firstly, without the ball, he was pressing like a madman. Look at what he was doing to Villa. By cutting off different passing angles and actually being aggressive, he was able to force Martinez into making an error. This is how pressing works in top level football. It's a team effort, and it usually starts with the striker. It only works if everyone is giving their full effort, and Jackson is very good at doing that. In fact, he was doing it so well that everybody was talking about his pressing and work without the ball than the goal that he actually scored in that match. Here he is forcing errors again with his pressing, this time against Leicester. He sprints at Faze, forcing him to go back. At the same time that he's pressing, he has also arced his run to cut off the angle for the return pass. So Sideshow Bob over here has to play it back to Hermansen, who just boots it long. Then in possession, Jackson's movement was vital to Chelsea's good form in December of 2024. He was constantly stretching the pitch, creating space for Palmer and Enzo to do their creative work. According to The Athletic, 60% of Jackson's off the ball runs were either ahead of the ball or in behind the opposing defense. Jackson is so fast and so smart with his runs that he doesn't even need to be on the shoulder of the last defender to get ahead. Perfect example was his goal against Liverpool. He also had this chance that unfortunately hit the post, but just the fact that he was able to outpace Konate and Van Dijk despite starting in front of them is very impressive. But the problem with Jackson is his inconsistent finishing and the fact that he loses his head at times. We aren't talking about one-off incidents anymore. It's become a bit of a pattern, whether it's his red card against Newcastle during the race for a Champions League spot or getting a red as soon as he came on as a sub at the Club World Cup. He is costing the team with his temperament. As a result, Chelsea brought in another striker for Maresca that can offer the same type of movement up front. Now Dilap is very comfortable getting him behind the opposition and stretching the defense. At Ipswich, he played in a counter-attacking team, so pretty much all of his runs were in transition. If we take a look at the breakdown of his runs, then you will see it's very similar to Jackson. 32% of his runs were ahead of the ball and 26% were runs in behind the defense. The exact runs that open up space in the middle for Palmer. We have already seen it in action with the goal against Palmeiras. Dilap's run that creates the space for Palmer to pull out that moment of magic. Add in the fact that the two have played together before, both for Man City and the England national team, and it was an easy choice to bring Dilap in. The problem Maresca now has to deal with is which striker starts. Could they play together? This is why the Italian makes the big bucks, because these are the decisions that he has to make. Now, as if there wasn't enough on his plate, Maresca has another striker in the rotation as well, one who doesn't play anything like Dilap or Jackson. João Pedro is not a player who makes a ton of runs in behind or crashes the box. He wants the ball at his feet. Just take a look at his run breakdowns. This man has no interest in getting behind. He is great at dropping deep, collecting the ball, then either carrying it himself or finding the right pass. This is what he did at his best for Brighton. Collect the ball from the midfield, eat up the space with his carrying, and then find the open winger. Chelsea fans saw what he's all about at the Club World Cup. He's an exciting player, someone that can get fans out of their seats. Very silky on the ball, very clever with his touches. After all, the guy is Brazilian. He has a reputation to maintain. João Pedro is basically closer to an attacking midfielder than a pure 9. Like, he can genuinely play up top with Dilap or Jackson because he occupies completely different spaces. He still makes runs, but he's more focused on overlap runs and support runs. Now, Maresca has a lot of talent at his disposal, but it also means more egos and tempers to deal with. We've seen Jackson lose his cool, but I've also seen both Dilap and João Pedro lose their cool as well. The Brazilian, for example, tried to MMA elbow someone, and then he missed the back end of the season with Brighton in 2025 because the club suspended him for fighting with one of his teammates. Dilap's outbursts are a bit more controlled. They are more Diego Costa-esque, where he's just competing against the other central defender, but it's another thing that Maresca has to be wary of. On top of that, each of these strikers is gonna want to play big minutes. Neither Dilap nor João Pedro left their clubs to sit on the bench. Both players are gonna want to see game time to give themselves a shot at being at the 2026 World Cup. I didn't even mention Nkunku, who can also play up front. Competition is great. Let's see how Maresca handles it. Problem number 3, finding the right balance. Now, I've already spoken about balance before, but in this section, I'm specifically referring to Maresca's desire to play Lavia, Caicedo, Enzo, and Palmer all at the same time. You see, at the Club World Cup, we saw Maresca try an experiment. She shifted Palmer from the number 10 position to the left wing. Palmer played as a 10 against LAFC and then as a right winger against Flamengo, but in the match against Benfica, he was played as the left-sided midfielder in the 4-2-3-1. Now, why has he done that? Especially since Palmer has been so good playing through the middle. Well, it's clear that this tweak or variation of it is the only way that Maresca can also get Caicedo, Lavia, and Enzo to play together in the center of the park. We had seen him use this trio in the 2025 season as well, but Maresca couldn't use it as much because Lavia was injured for the bulk of the season. With everyone healthy though, we saw it in action against Benfica. In this setup, Enzo plays as the 10, ahead of a double pivot of Caicedo and Lavia. Reece James stays back and helps form a back 3 in possession. Now what does this do? Firstly, Chelsea become more solid defensively. Lavia and Caicedo provide way more protection to the back line than Enzo and Caicedo. Secondly, pushing Enzo further up the pitch means he can do more damage. We have seen how dangerous he can be making ghost runs into the box, and he's lethal when the ball drops to him. Just ask Spurs. Then thirdly, by having Palmer occupy the half spaces on the left, it means that Cucurella has more space to attack on that left hand side. Cucurella had a lot of success in 2025 as this box crashing left back. In Chelsea's 3-1-3-3 shape and possession, Cucurella was basically a left winger. It worked to perfection. How many times did we see this man score goal after goal when the Blues needed it the most? Look at his goal against Brentford, timing his run to attack the gap in Brentford's defense, as Nona Madueke did something very rare. He actually passed the ball. So yes, at times, this setup does look good. It creates angles for passes that are difficult to stop, especially when you have both Enzo and Palmer in the half spaces, and then further past them, you have Dilap making these in-behind runs. However, personally, I'm not a big fan of it. I don't think Palmer is nearly as good being a left-footed player on the left wing. He is limited to certain angles because it's tough to cut inside as a left footer on the left side. When you cut in from the right as a left footer, you open up the entire pitch. But when you're a left footer on the left side, you're basically forced to have to go out wide. Palmer is better as the 10 because he can roam wherever he wants. If he roams as a left winger, Chelsea lose their width. And suddenly the middle of the park looks like a Bonnie Blue video because there are so many dudes just chilling there. I'm hoping that with the arrival of Giddens, that Maresca leans towards a natural winger there to free up Palmer. But that also means that one of Lavia, Enzo, or Caicedo has to be dropped. According to The Athletic, Maresca sees Enzo Fernandez's long-term position as the 10, so the Italian is gonna have to figure out how to fit everyone in. Problem number 4, dealing with the addition of Champions League football. In the 2025 season, Chelsea were able to rotate their entire team because the Conference League, respectfully, is a Mickey Mouse competition. They were essentially playing a third string team all through the group stages and were fine because they were playing teams whose names looked like someone had just smashed their forehead on the keyboard before registering. They can't do that now because the Champions League is a different beast. They have now gone from the third division of European football to the top, to the pinnacle. That means high level of competition, tougher matches midweek. You can't just rotate the reserves in. Fortunately, Chelsea have a lot of depth in different positions. Gusto can come in for Reece James, they got 3 strikers, Nkunku can play anywhere in the front line, Andre Santos can play in midfield, but not every position has that luxury. There is still no one that can play Palmer's role. I mean sure, Maresca can play Enzo there, and maybe he will try João Pedro, but they don't have a natural attacking midfielder. Then what about the left back? The drop off after Cucurella is pretty big. Now if I told Chelsea fans this 2 years ago, they would have laughed in my face, but now the Spaniard is an important piece. What about the center back position? Colwell and Tosin are good, but are they ready to play against the best in the Champions League? Then let's say you want to rotate them. Can Chalobah and Badiashile handle top quality attackers? We're gonna find out. Problem number 5, goalkeeper issues. I can't believe that after all the money that was spent by Chelsea, Sanchez is still in between the sticks. This man has cost the team so many goals. Now yes, he has also been Superman at times, but for the most part, he's been a massive liability. I don't know any Chelsea fan that feels confident when a shot goes flying a goal. Ball-playing goalies who make too many mistakes playing out from the back have to be the worst genre of players. Ederson, Sanchez, Onana, Ter Stegen. These guys are not good shot stoppers, and they love to make a big mistake every other week. Maybe Sanchez will prove us all wrong, but I still believe this is a position that Chelsea have to upgrade going forward, especially since they now have Champions League football. We have seen time and time again that you need an elite goalie to go far in knockout football, and Sanchez isn't elite. He can't even save a PDF at times. Problem number 6, remaining competitive while developing players. Chelsea remain a very young team. Even guys like João Pedro, Giddens, and Dilap, who are playing big minutes in big leagues, are still young age-wise. The club has a strategy, and more importantly, they believe that Maresca is the right guy to develop these young players. He had a lot of success as the manager of the City Academy, so it's not a surprise to see the Blues pick up a lot of City Academy graduates. The tough part for Maresca will be balancing the development of these young players while still trying to win as much as possible. The expectations rose for this team in the 2025 season when they found themselves in second place for a bit. Despite Maresca trying to downplay the expectations, people were still getting hyped. Now Chelsea do have a lot of the right pieces, but they are still a work in progress. They are still early in their project. They've planted the seeds, but now we have to see which ones will grow. Palmer, Caicedo, Enzo are already top players. Now it's time for the club to try and develop the other guys to reach this level, because Chelsea fans understand they are in a rebuild, but they also want to see progress. The Conference League was a nice story, but this is a club that wants to lift Champions Leagues and Premier League trophy, and if they want to do that, they need a player like Caicedo to continue to be at his best. To get a Caicedo jersey, go to buygamejerseys.com and use code PETTALKS at checkout, and to watch how he went from the streets of Ecuador to the bright lights of Stamford Bridge, you gotta watch this video right here.